we always like to, get to know more about the folks that we're talking to, because everyone, from teachers in Minnesota to strippers in North Hollywood to TikTokers and content creators and activists spread throughout the country. Everyone's got a unique backstory, and everyone finds their way into the movement. And I'm just wanted to get to know a bit more about you both and ask how you got into doing this work, and actually like what that work entails for folks who are maybe listening to this and we're like, wait, what's TikTok? Right? So I guess why don't we start by getting to know a bit more about you all and your work.
Yeah, so I started making content in 2020 when it was just very difficult to organize in person safely. And I really wanted to organize young people and get them out to vote and get Trump out of office, particularly because climate is one of my biggest issues. I grew up in the Bay Area with, 2018 wildfires, one of the worst wildfire activity years in our state's history, wearing masks for that and not for COVID. And yeah, just wanting, knowing the urgency of that election, wanting to get people out to vote. And so that's how I started on TikTok. But quickly it became, something beyond electoral politics, and realizing, oh, I can use my platform to talk about social issues, whether it's labor or the Green New Deal and what that means for people and how it can be used to uplift the working class. And yeah, I just went and just snowballed from there. I got in contact with people like Sean and Sophia and Olivia and these wonderful people at Gen Z for Change that have the same mindset and share the same values that I do, and are hoping to use the internet in the same way. And we're just scheming all the time now, and it's really fun.
Yeah, and for me, it's a pretty similar story to Elise. In 2020, when BLM was all in the news cycle and everything was going on, I started making TikTok videos because COVID had also just hit, and I had time off of school, didn't really have much to do, so I started making TikTok videos that quickly turned political because I'm a political person. And then from there is what from BLM to abortion rights and a multitude of different issues. And it wasn't until September 2020 or 2021, September 2021, where the abortion hotline in Texas came out, where a bunch of TikTokers were already spamming the abortion hotline. And I was like, hey, I'm a computer programmer already, and people are already spamming this site. So why don't I use my knowledge as a programmer to create a bot to also spam this site? And so that kind of went very far and wide, and people were using the bot. 50,000 people use it to spam the abortion site. And I was like, wow, this is actually, very impactful. And it wasn't until like later that year in December that Elise got in contact with me and was like, hey, we want you on our team with Gen Z for Change. So I was like, okay, cool. So they brought me on, and immediately she was like, Starbucks, we had to do Starbucks. So I was like, all right, cool. And so I coded up a bot to spam Starbucks application sites when they were hiring scabs as well, after they fired, the Memphis 7 and a bunch of other stores. And so from there, that was extremely successful. It's just still an ongoing campaign because Starbucks is still union busting. But from there, you had Kellogg's, you had Ralph's, and now we have a bunch of other campaigns in the works as well. But just sort of like supporting unionization efforts by spamming the application portal so they can't hire scabs is sort of like the antithesis of the crux of what my work is at Gen Z for Change. And so we are open to new campaigns to do stuff like that again. But we're also doing stuff like People Over Prime, where it's more creator focused, where we are utilizing our platform in a different way as well.
Hell yeah. And I think I recall seeing that. So just, I guess for listeners, you're talking about when the god awful, Texas abortion bill was effectively allowed to become the law of the land in September. And they had that website, because I guess for everyone listening, you guys probably already know this, but one of the many reasons that bill in Texas was so horrifying was not just by the draconian ways it limits and basically makes abortion rights impossible, but also it's a vigilante fucking bill, right? It encourages people to sue anyone who's involved in aiding another person get an abortion for up to $10,000. And so there was a very chilling effect when this kind of came into the limelight. And if I recall correctly, what you did, Sean, was create a bot that spammed that, snitch website and essentially made it useless for people who were hoping that they would be getting tips to go after anyone who had aided someone getting an abortion. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. And positive benefits is that we actually got so much press around it that GoDaddy, who hosted the Texas Right to Life site, actually ended up dropping the site after there was so much, publicity around what these people are doing. Like, GoDaddy's like, yeah, we're not having that. And so they couldn't even host their site on GoDaddy anymore. They had to find a different provider to do that as well. But that specific whistleblower site still hasn't returned after we got it taken down. And so that just shows like the collective power of Gen Z, about how if everybody comes together and does one specific thing, that we can actually do make a difference.
Hell yeah, that's so badass, man. Like, I absolutely love that, and I love that. Again, one of the things that is so exciting about what y'all are doing, right, is you're building that up and using those tools in so many different struggles. So, going from jamming the abortion snitch website to these like scab hiring sprees that Starbucks and other companies are trying to go on, essentially like flooding them with fake applications. Like, that's a really cool jump to make. And it's also really important, right? Because, there's so many ways, as we cover week in, week out on this show, that companies, do not play by the rules that workers are forced to play by. And they use every tool at their disposal to break unionization drives. Starbucks is probably the worst offender right now, firing pro-union workers left and right, closing unionized stores or stores that are in the process of organizing, as we've covered here. And now they're trying to, and also the obvious, they haven't recognized the union. They refuse to recognize the union victories. We're well over 200 stores in the country that have voted fair and square to unionize, and Starbucks, like a dictator, is refusing to acknowledge the results of those elections. It's refusing to bargain in good faith, and it's trying to get the NLRB to basically throw all of those union victories out. And so then we, as workers and as supporters of workers, are left wondering, well, what can we do? Well, folks like Sean and Elise, like, really took that call to heart, right? And saw that as like a call to action. So I wanted to ask a little more about that, maybe focusing on the labor-focused campaigns like People Over Prime. And if you could kind of walk our listeners through what those campaigns are, how they developed, who's involved, and how can others get involved?
Yeah, so People Over Prime started after months and months of organizing and like strategizing with the team ever since Starbucks happened. And we were successfully able to do, code after code, application after application. We're just like, the obvious next company is Amazon. And, there after Chris Small successfully organized his warehouse, there's several other warehouses like Albany that just filed for to unionize, and that the motivation was there from the beginning, and the idea was we are an essential part of Amazon's marketing model. Influencers are embedded within their structure. Amazon spends millions of dollars in order to get influencers to use their Amazon storefront to create videos about what Amazon products they're buying. They had over a dozen influencers over in Mexico on a weekend getaway where they taught these influencers how to use their storefronts, recruited 5,000 influencers for their Prime Day sales. We're essential. And when it's so clear that Amazon workers are not being listened to and their needs and demands are not being met, time and time again, whether that's through the union busting efforts or just their everyday labor conditions, it's clear that Amazon won't listen to them, but they will listen to the bottom line. And the bottom line and their pocketbook is really the only thing that's important to them. And we as creators have power to hit them where it hurts, and that's their paycheck. That's the money. And our hope with People Over Prime is to get hundreds of creators to refuse to monetize their platform for Amazon, to remove their storefronts, to refuse any paid partnerships or any association until they meet the demands of the Amazon labor union and Amazon workers. And right now we have about 90 creators with a collective following of about 60 million people involved. Really large creators that have worked with Amazon in the past, that have removed their storefronts, that are, tackling what we've aimed to tackle. We'd need more in order for this statement to, really show them that, we're not tolerating this. But it's a wonderful start, and and that's really the goal with the campaign is if you won't listen to them, we're going to make you listen to them, because we know how important we are to your marketing. And this whole thing is meant to bring visibility to Amazon workers, and not, it's to shine a light on them more than shine a light on us. It's their demands, their needs, meet them.
And we've already kind of seen the effect that it does have, because we know that it does have an effect, because Amazon has already responded very quickly, actually, with a very boilerplate corporate response, as you would expect Amazon to say. But the fact that they have responded, it shows that they know that this could have an effect on, if not their bottom line, then definitely their brand as a company. And just that effect, if somebody, just like when they're ordering on Amazon, just has a thought in their mind, like, maybe I could get this from somewhere else, and that person chooses to shop somewhere else, that could have an effect as well, especially when it comes to more holiday season stuff. So just kind of getting this out into the public view, getting unionization efforts into the public consciousness, that is a success in and of itself.